And welcome to Quays News.
We are live across Manchester with these stories and more. Following the house fire in Walkden which killed 4 children, police have now charged a third person with murder.
It's exactly 6 months today since the Grenfell Tower fire, and Manchester City Council have now announced new plans for all the council-owned tower blocks in Manchester.
And I'll be finding out how one woman's extraordinary experience has changed the lives of these guys.
But first tonight, back to the devastating fire in Walkden which killed 4 children. Today, police have charged a third person with murder.
David Worrell appeared at Manchester Magistrate Court this morning, and our reporter Mark Luther Thomas was there.
I'm here outside Manchester Magistrates Court where earlier on this morning 25-year-old David Worrell appeared in a grey tracksuit to give his name, date of birth and nationality. He is charged with 4 counts of murder, 3 counts of attempted murder and 1 count of arson with intent to endanger life. This comes after yesterday 3-year-old Leah Pearson became the 4th victim in the tragic arson attack in Worsley this week. Worrell will now appear tomorrow at Manchester Crown Court along with Courtney Brierley and Zach Bolland, who had their Manchester Crown Court hearings today postponed. Mark Luther Thomas reporting for Quays News.
Now today marks exactly 6 months since the Grenfell fire which cost the lives of over 70 people.
Since the disaster in May, Greater Manchester Fire and Rescue Service has visited all the high-rise blocks in Manchester to ensure that any tower block fire is contained and does not spread. The council have now announced they will be fitting sprinklers in all of the 36 council-owned tower blocks in Manchester.
Now, for more of today's news, police have released CCTV footage of a gunpoint robbery in Wigan and are appealing for any information. The masked man forced staff at the one-stop shop in Billinge to hand over cash.
The River Irwell in Greater Manchester is a popular destination for fishermen, but it has seen a dramatic decline in its number of fish in the last year. Thousands of small fish either died or were swept away due to pollution and the floods from the last year's Boxing Day. But the Environment Agency has now released 8,000 fish in the river in order to combat the problem.
Basically what happened in the pollution incident, some of the smaller fish suffered, and also the Boxing Day floods a couple of years ago washed some of the smaller medium classes of fish out of the river. The larger fish can withstand the flows for the stronger flows, but the smaller fish tend to get pushed out. So basically by restocking slightly, it just gives that natural recruitment of fish, natural spawning, a little bit of a boost.
Lancashire Mining Museum have just been given the go-ahead to begin repairs to save the only surviving headgear this side of the Pennines, but they still need to raise a significant amount of money to complete the work fully.
But thanks to Lancashire County Council and several leading figures within the community, the site was saved from total demolition. Alex Worthing reports.
Situated on the edge of Chat Moss, an area once full of collieries, lies the picturesque village of Astley Green. In the heart of the village stands the Lancashire Mining Museum. It was the uniqueness of this 3,300 horse-powered steam engine that brought the demolition of this site to a halt in 1970. As a result of the intervention, the museum now houses Lancashire's last remaining engine house and headgear.
Lord Lieutenant of Lancashire came down on a visit. They were knocking number 2 headgear down. and had a big crane with a ball on, smashing the buildings outside. We'd put a temporary cap on so nothing would go down the shaft. And he came round the site, and our surface foreman Jimmy Jones took him round. Number 2 wind, the boilers, the powerhouse, ventilation fan, equipment. Then he brought him in here, and he stood him at the bottom of the engine house, and he says, "This engine's amazing." He said, "What's going to happen to it?" And Jimmy pointed through the window and said, "That big crane with the ball," and he said, "They're coming here next." And we said, "Oh, not if I can help it."
Although the project meets the English Heritage Trust criteria for funding, the Society need to prove the museum has a future and deliver benefits for the local community.
When it came up this thing might be in danger, there's 45,000 people visit our site to say, "This is amazing, we must keep this going." So we have hit a strong public seam, if you're pardon the pun, of public involvement and sympathy. If that falls over, or it has to be taken down, the whole focal point of this site goes with it. So even though that's the big wow factor, that's the second wow factor, the railway and all the rest of it is the third wow factor, but without the first wow factor, it doesn't stack up.
All the things which are now on the site are items which we brought here as the Red Rose. The headgear itself was in actual fact restored partly when the engine house was restored, but the emphasis that was given was it was sprayed with a tar finish, which wasn't the ideal material, and I know since then it's deteriorated tremendously.
The site is protected as a Grade 2 scheduled monument, but unless repairs are undertaken on the headgear in the next 5 years, the lease will be up and the site could be lost forever.
Still to come, we've got all the latest sports news.
And we find out how one woman has helped the lives of rescue dogs from around the world.
Now, is there anything more annoying than not having enough change for a cup of coffee? Well, now there's no need to worry about a Chorlton cafe, or the first in the area to go completely cashless. Our reporter Zara Connolly went down to try it out.
I'm outside Barbecue Cafe here in Chorlton, where they've decided to go cashless in January 2018. I'll be speaking to the owner, Shen Liu, about the matter.
The main reason I want to do it is because for the last few months there's a bit of crime going around in the area that we had to call the police twice because someone broke into the vehicle in the car park at the back of the shop. And so we're just a bit concerned of our staff safety. But I think for small business, it will really benefit the system, how it works, and then we can just focus on doing like what we want to do.
It's easy to see how the traders benefit, but how do the customers?
I feel I should be given the option if I'd like to pay by card or by cash as a massive principle, because I'm old school. I'm old school like me, over 60. You want to pay by cash, and then you know the money's out your pocket and nobody else can defraud it because you've paid by cash.
Most carry cards because if anyone robs them, then they can't really use it unless you've got the PIN number on.
I can understand why they do it, especially in this climate with a lot of robberies going on, but for us personally, we've been a charity shop, we take cash only to keep the costs down, the running costs. Obviously we want to try and keep, it's a community charity, so we just need to keep costs down as much as we can.
So that's what the Chorlton community think. Get your thoughts in at Quays News on Twitter. Zara Connolly reporting for Quays News.
We are now on the final countdown to Christmas, and that usually means food, food and even more food. But with that comes an excessive amount of wasted food.
But Manchester's restaurants and university students are partnering up with an app called City Munch in a campaign to tackle food waste.
Christmas is a time for indulgence, overeating, overdrinking and slouching around. But with that comes an excessive amount of food waste. From 11th to 17th of December, Manchester restaurants offer up to 90% of food and drink during their last hour of operation through the City Munch mobile app.
Food waste is a global issue, not just on a local level or in this country. So we're really just trying to use technology as a bridge to help get restaurants to communicate with people in the area to say, look, we've got good quality food, come along and get it a little bit cheaper at the end of the day. And for us, it's about letting no food go to waste, whether that's a small sandwich, whether it's a bowl of soup, whatever it may be. We're just trying to completely minimise it and giving it to people that might be able to have a bit of better use for it.
According to Unilever, UK families throw away 4 million meals per year, putting a massive strain on resources. A family of 4 could easily save as much as £60 per month by cutting down on waste. So far, 9 restaurants took part in the Food Waste Week to ensure that food is not wasted. Soup Kitchen, as the one of participants, tried to tackle the food waste issue before, but now they can do much more.
It just seems like a more responsible and like appropriate way of dealing with it, rather than us kind of working like as much as we wanted to deal with it. We weren't. That's not what we are. We're a restaurant. We're not a charity. So it wasn't as easy for us.
To ensure nothing is wasted, volunteers will distribute any unsold food to the homeless.
Before Christmas, you know, everybody's looking forward to whose house are they going to spend Christmas at, what are they going to have for Christmas, the presents, the gifts, etc. So it's a time of year for giving. And I think we can all make a difference. Half an hour every day, it's not a lot.
It's only 1 week-long campaign, but hopefully it's an appetizer for a bigger change. Quays News, Anna Lubowicka.
Speaking of food, did you get any pies at half-time at the football last night, Adam?
Sadly, I didn't get to any games last night, but it was a busy night for football in Manchester. Both clubs won, and it was City who would continue to set the pace. The Sky Blues made history last night away at Swansea by winning their 15th consecutive game, giving them the longest win streak ever in the Premier League. A double from David Silva and goals from Kevin De Bruyne and Sergio Aguero secured the 4-0 win. Manchester United also beat Bournemouth 1-0 at Old Trafford to keep their title ambitions alive. Romelu Lukaku scored his first goal in 4 games. Now to some squash, and the World Championships are taking place in the city tonight. It's the first time ever in 38 years of the tournament that there'll be no English representatives in the women's quarter-finals after Sarah Jane Perry and Victoria Luss were knocked out yesterday. Lauren Smith has been at Manchester Central today, where the quarter-finals continue.
It's a buzzing atmosphere here at the AJ Bell PSA World Squash Championships in Manchester. We've just seen Noor El Shabini and Nouran Gohar from Egypt take to the court, while Shabini took the win and she's through to the final. Next up we have Grégoire Gauthier from France and Paul Cole from New Zealand. Into tonight we have Nick Matthew on Team England versus Mohamed El Shabagi from Egypt. Nick has won 2 of the most prestigious tournaments in the professional game, so let's see how he gets on.
Lauren Smith with that report. Now, finally, one incredible woman has achieved what some may say is the impossible, all in aid of man's best friend. Our reporter Jessica Tidswell went to doggy daycare to find out more.
Not only does Rachel have a passion for dogs, but she also has a passion for running. Rachel completed 10 marathons in 10 days after being told she may never walk again after a devastating accident in Norway.
My spine was fractured in several places, and I was told that it was quite likely I would be paralysed from the waist down and never walk after that accident. My priority when I was injured was to just get back out with the dogs. So having that sort of drove me to recover as quickly as possible.
A lengthy rehabilitation process led to a gift Rachel never thought she'd have. Back on her feet, Rachel ran over 260 miles to help improve the life of her 4, or in some cases 3-legged friends.
It was quite surreal actually. For the entire time I was running, I was thinking to myself, every time I started to think I'm so close to the end, I got very emotional. It was a dream of mine for a long time, and to actually have achieved it just feels unbelievable. So I'm still a little bit in shock. Every time I see the medals or the T-shirt, I'm like, I can't believe I did it.
Rachel's love for dogs is in the genes. Her granddad was a dog handler in the RAF.
He has a way with dogs that's always really inspired me. He sort of just, they're so calm around him, and he can sort of have this connection with them straight away.
So far, Rachel has raised over £3,000, which will be used to help support the dogs for the rescue rehoming shelter.
Well, Christmas is a difficult time of year usually for us because obviously everybody's got different priorities and things, and we do struggle with fundraising. So when Rachel came up with this idea, we had no idea how big it was going to go. We were a bit shocked, and I have to say I was a little bit sceptical, but knowing Rachel and her will and drive and then seeing her do it was just amazing. So everybody got on board and we made a huge amount of money for the rescue, and at this time of year it just means everything.
Dogs for Rescue rehome dogs from the UK, Bulgaria, Cyprus and Romania. The money raised by Rachel will ensure the dogs get the care they need.
Vet bills is a huge expense to us. It is our biggest expense, even above and beyond bringing the rescue dogs over. So it just helps, it gives us that buffer, makes us less desperate.
Jessica Tidswell in Withenshaw for Quays News.
Well, I wish I had just a job, to be honest. But we also ask you on Twitter if you had rescue dogs and if you can send pictures of them. And you've sent us some very cute pictures, actually. Tila sent in a picture of her rescue dog, Stella, who was rescued from a farm in Australia. Here she's draped in a Christmas pudding outfit.
And Rachel's tweeted in to say she has 3 rescue dogs called Misty, Lucy and Gracie, and here is a picture of them.
And here's Caroline's dog, Rollo. Rollo was also rescued from a boatyard in Portugal. So do you have any dogs?
I don't. I've never had a pet. All my friends growing up had pets. I feel like I was a little bit deprived. I'm getting a bit emotional, actually. I'll pass to you. Have you ever had a dog, Nicola?
I had 11 dogs when I was little. But goodbye for now.
That's
We'll
fine.
see you tomorrow.
Goodbye.